guys. This could be a big mistake.
Mistake?
If they could do that to a wall, imagine what they could do to our heads.
For sure. And our heads are nowhere near that.
Figure that.
Turtles.
Yeah, and we didn't make that hole, you wacko.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you wacko. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of Turtle Talk. But you best believe I'm not alone. Y'all know me. I'm Dave Wonder. With me, as always, is my wonderful Turtle Talk co-host, Dan. And Dan,
hey.
you have a mini one with you tonight.
I got my little mini turtle fan with me. You got it. We got stuck last minute. Mom is out tending to her garden. She told me she was going to be back on time. She is not back on time. So joining us for a little bit in the beginning is my little boy, 6-year-old Connor.
What's up, Connor? Hey, dude.
Big turtle fan. You can tell he's wearing his pizza t-shirt. He is ready to talk turtles.
Oh, yeah. But, Dan, we have a very special guest tonight.
I'm very
a dear
excited.
friend of mine and a shellhead like no other, Mr. Geeky. What's up, dude?
Oh, hello!
Hello! And welcome.
What's going on, man?
Hey!
So,
Nice.
also, hello to everybody in the chat. I saw it already popping off super early. So, yeah, Mitch Falcon, like I said, Mr. Geeky, he'd be plugging you
Mitch,
left
my
and right.
hero.
Right
Man.
on!
There's Speeky Geeky. So, we're all over. Yes, Mitch Falcon. Dan has a tiny organic with him tonight. But yes, hello everybody in the chat. Maybe I'll have to make a Turtle Talk emote. What do you guys think?
Oh, that'd be great.
We'll get to that for sure. But because we have a little one with us, I would like to toss it out there to Connor real quick. Connor, who's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Krang.
Krang? Oh no!
He's always been a fan. He's always been a fan of the show. He has loved turtles since he was playing with like my random figures when he was 2. He started his own collection when he was 3, but he has always gravitated towards the villains, towards the mutants, and away from the turtles.
See, you guys balance one
I
another.
got all the turtles.
You do have all the turtles, yes. We
I have all 4 plus 4
you definitely have to have the good guys.
turtles.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Do you know who that was?
Yeah. April's dad.
Yes, April's dad. Yes, he
Ooh,
knows
he's
his
good. He's good.
We just watched without even thinking about doing this the show today. We just watched a turtle movie yesterday, and it wasn't even prompted by me. It was his idea. Do you remember the movie that we watched?
Out of the shadows.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a good one.
It was a good one. It wasn't one that I'd seen in a while, and I don't have a ton of thoughts on it, other than I love that Bebop and Rocksteady finally got represented on the on the big screen, right? What was your most interesting part that you found in the movie? Microphone, please.
I just realized if I swap you two, it's perfectly scaled for.
Oh, there you
Connor
go.
and Perfect. Beautiful.
When
What did you find that was interesting in Out of the Shadows?
when Shredder was frozen, there was a neutrino by him.
Yeah.
Have you seen this movie? Do you know what we're talking about? I did not know about the neutrino in the background in the.
I didn't catch that. Yeah.
Shredder gets frozen by spoilers in the chat if you haven't seen this movie from 2016.
I was going to say it's been out for a bit. We're
We're
out
supposed
the
to.
5-year range,
Yeah, it's
so we're
pretty-
good.
It's a pretty good movie.
It's a pretty good movie. Okay, there you go. If Shredder gets frozen by Krang at the end, and that's the end. Like that's the write off of Shredder. That was just the end of him. He gets totally written off as Krang's underling gets frozen, and Krang puts him into his collection the floor drops out and Shredder drops down completely frozen. And as he's being put onto his place onto Krang's shelf or whatever it is, you can see other frozen objects behind him. I think one of them is a Triceraton that we couldn't see. But one of the other objects was definitely a neutrino, which I was blown away by. I love that detail.
Yeah, awesome.
It was awesome, yeah.
That one was a living cartoon, as I like to put it. That it was so much fun to watch. Like the first Bay film, wasn't as big a fan. The second one, I'm like, I bought it the day it came out. I had so much fun with that movie.
Tanks driving through trees. They're skydiving without chutes. It's fantastic.
Well, one did.
Oh, he did have it. One had a parachute.
It's Fast and the Furious for turtles.
You can't get any better than this. I love me some Fast and Furious. He's raiding. All the little ones are busting
in. Someone said in chat.
Well, I don't have the chat. What do you mean? What did somebody say in chat? I don't know.
I said that you're a huge nerd in that. And
my son is has dropped into the chat. He's
I said that you're a huge nerd and I'm the coolest kid in school.
Or I guess I should say little geeky, not my son, my little geeky, who's a recurring character on my channel.
Unsubscribe. No, just
okay. All right.
Hey.
The wheels are falling off the truck.
Here.
It didn't take long. It never does. But Mr. Geeky, I gotta ask, who's your favorite turtle?
There's a good question.
We've all tossed ours out there.
Well, I mean, which iteration are we saying up to today? Are we saying which incarnation of? Because I've had favorite turtles for different versions, right? I'm
saying you get one out of the 4, sometimes 5 turtles, but out of any iteration, this is why it's a difficult question, because you basically have to average out your answers. I mean, across many of the boards, get out, Pale Arrow.
Across many of the boards, it's a tie between Donnie and Mikey, right? Yeah. And it's maybe can I explain it?
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Right. So Donnie, in the early days, Donnie was always my favorite because even before I think I knew him on a larger level, I appreciated the fact that his bow stick allowed you to get further in the game.
Okay, I like that.
And but in the cartoon, I mean, I identified with kind of between him and Mikey in that, it's like I was kind of into the tech geeky kind of stuff, right? I mean, that was my jam. And Mikey was the party dude, so I'm like, that could be me someday. I could be cool enough to be the party dude. But he, I liked his attitude. I liked that he brought levity to, kind of not necessarily the Fred Wolf animated, because the Fred Wolf animated was always had a lot of levity to it, but in general, his attitude allowed, kind of a breath of fresh air for kind of, some of the situations they got themselves into where it helped to make it more bearable. Right. Yeah. And so I appreciated that about him. I feel like without Mikey in the mix, it would be a really big loss.
It's a really dark time, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I also really like in the IDW series. I also really like Jenica too. She's a really kind of nuanced and fun character that I'm excited to see how that kind of gets fleshed out and explored more.
As a couple of folks in the chat were talking about Venus and joking around. So the execution for Venus, in my opinion, was not great. And Stan in the chat actually pointed out Venus was ahead of her time, and I agree with that.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because you read the IDW book and you read Jenica, and she's fantastic, and it's like, hey, look, you gotta give her time. You gotta give the character time. Mm-hmm. So
well, but here's the thing with I guess in the when Next Mutation was out, Laird wasn't happy with Venus, right? Even though it had a huge fan base afterwards. The character had a huge fan base afterwards, and it kind of changed. Venus is not the same as Jenica. They're very different characters, but both were like very much identified as not being familial to the brothers.
Yeah.
And I think that was more like the bigger issue there was that was kind of a big deal for the time that it was identified that they weren't like actual family and blood, right? And it's kind of like, ooh, they were all together like that. Yeah.
Technically, Splinter's not their father, but also, I would just like to throw this out there. I've actually heard this a few times, especially when I was working at the comic shop. My mom used TMNT to stop me from going Batman crazy. TMNT was a little lighter. Hey, Oreo Mega. But yeah, you know, that's the cool thing about it is if you think about the source material and then you look at the Fred Wolf cartoon, you go, there's a disconnect here. But at the same time, look at the crazy amount of people that got into Turtles because of that cartoon.
What?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead,
Connor. Have you watched the old cartoon?
Yeah.
We got to talk into the microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we were talking about, because when you were a really little kiddo, were you into that one a little bit more than you would have been into some of the scarier ones?
I don't know.
I think we watched a lot of I definitely purchased when I didn't have it before him. Like when he came along, I definitely rekindled my love for Turtles and wanted to instill that in him as best as I could, at least give him a shot to enjoy that turtle love. So I went on, I think Walmart at the time had their just complete set of the entire series from episode 1 all the way until the end. And we would just work our way through those discs one at a time and just slowly work through them. And he would love it. He would sit there. I mean, he would sing the song by himself when he was 3 years old, just sitting there on the floor, watching the show, singing along with the show. And he loved it. And then later, eventually later, he started getting a little less interested in the older show and started gravitating towards that newer Nickelodeon show.
The 2012.
But I think a lot of that had to do with that. Those were the figures that were in stores, and those were more. He was more of a toy guy than the toy show, than the show guy, right?
I mean, I think
you are right there.
Did we out of the three of us, right? And Connor too. But I mean, did you get into the toys first before, or did you start with comics or another avenue before you got into
I was toys first. I never got into the comics.
I was a little from column A, a little from column B because it's a little fuzzy. I remember getting the Archie comic, and I remember watching the cartoon show, and I want to say it was that before I ever got a figure.
Which he's asking, is the show one of the choices? One of the choices for what? What did you like first?
Oh, which did you get into first?
What did you like first? Did you like the toys first or the show first?
Show.
Do you remember why?
No.
Okay. Well, how about here's a question for you.
It's just because I watched it.
At first, oh yes, that makes sense.
It's because I watched it first.
And I will say, my son, he's 4, and like he loved the Fred Wolf series, and the 2012 series was too scary for him at first. And legit, we made it through that by the time he was 3, like the Fred Wolf one. And like probably about 3-4 months ago, he was like, "Oh, can we watch Turtles?" I'm like, "Yeah. Do you want to watch this one or this one?" And he's like, "I want to watch this one." And I'm like, "That's the one that you thought was scary." He's like, "I'm old now. I'm
ready now. I'm a big boy."
I'm like, "Okay."
That's the way. And Connor kind of gets that way too. He loved, like, for example, he loved Monsters Inc. when he was a baby. Like, and I say baby when he was 1, maybe 1.5. When he got to be about 2.5, he was terrified of Monsters Inc. And he wasn't afraid of the monsters. He wasn't afraid of the characters. He was only afraid of that one scene where George Sanderson gets a Band-Aid ripped off.
Yeah.
He didn't like the yelling, like the real world, the parts that he can relate to, the pain parts. Same thing in Monsters University where they're running through that tunnel of spiky balls. He didn't like the part where the guys were getting stabbed by the balls. And so because of
the first one.
Yeah, I said the first one.
Only the first one.
Oh, only the first one. Okay, so he's saying only the first one. So then same thing happens in... Oh, you know what happened? Then first pandemic hits last year, and he hadn't seen the Turtle movies yet. But neither of us had ever sat through all of the Star Wars movies. And he was interested in them because he'd been sitting there watching all these YouTube videos about his YouTubers watching all these Star Wars stuff and talking about Star Wars. So I said, okay.
Didn't even get him the Death Star. Death Star too.
Make sure that you're talking towards the microphone. But yeah, you got all sorts of toys for Star Wars. And he fell in love with it because in the pandemic, we sat there and one movie a day for 9 days in a row. Come back here. we would work our way through the Star Wars movies, and his favorite part of those Star Wars movies was the scary parts, was the Wampa, was the Rancor, and
Jabba the Hutt.
and Jabba the Hutt, and all of those creatures in that, and none of that scared him. So when those creatures didn't scare him, because agreed, because they're awesome. When I realized that the creatures weren't scaring him, I'm like, okay, maybe he's ready for some other stuff. So that's when we started adventuring into the newer Turtle movies, like the 2012. Is that the first newer one? Somewhere around there.
The first Bay film?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to say that was like
12 or 14?
2014, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. And then Out of the Shadows was 2016. Mm-hmm. Out of the Shadows, like I said, we watched it last night. He was fine with Krang, who looks absolutely terrifying. And then, and even Bebop and Rocksteady, the other two mutants in the movie, they're also terrifying. But the part that he didn't like was the mutating part. When they actually, the turning part, the part that looks like they're in pain, that's the part that he can't handle. It's never about... It's never
relatable.
About being too scary monster-wise. It's always about, well, that probably would hurt me. So if that hurts me, I don't want to see it. Like, that's the part he will not sign up for.
I'm never signing up.
Okay, you got it.
I wasn't even going to watch the Crane part, but I did.
You were very brave. You did great.
So brave.
Absolutely.
But it's like Mr. Geeky. I'm sorry. So, funny story. I've known Mr. Geeky for a very long time, from my time working at the comic shop.
Okay.
And so I'm having a very hard time. It's like with you, Dan. I knew you as Mark Bitters first.
Sure.
Before I knew you were Dan. Mr. Geeky I knew by another name, so I'm trying real hard not to slip.
You've done great so far.
So far, so good. But yeah, so that brings up an interesting thing. So like, kind of, what was your first intro? But, it's also, what was your
I'll be right back.
Okay. Thank you, Mitch Falcon. Throwing out a plug for Hot Comics and Collectibles.
Nice.
Yes, he is the Mr. Geeky. That's actually a jab at me by proxy. Changed my screen name one time. But what for the live action movies? Like what movie do you think captures it the best? Because the fascinating thing to me is I know my answer, like right off the bat. Mm-hmm. But it's also of where you came into Turtles, how you came into Turtles, and all that. So for me, it's the 1990 first Turtles movie. Like that one encapsulates it so perfectly for me, personally. But it's fascinating to hear other people's thoughts, because don't get me wrong, Secret of the Ooze is still my favorite movie out of them. But
that's because you were 12 when it came out, right? I totally agree with you. I'm in the exact same boat.
I'm trying to think of when did Secret of the Ooze come out? 92?
92, I want to say.
Yeah.
So I was 10.
Yeah, it was a couple years after the first one.
I was 5.
Little boy.
I'm a child. I'm sorry.
So I feel the same way. I feel the same way now, looking back on it and knowing what I know now versus what I knew back then. Looking back on it right now, I totally agree with you. The first movie is absolutely, to me, the one that represents Ninja Turtles the best. It's to me the most true to comic form. But like I'm in the exact same boat as you, Dave.
Quiet, you thirsty for chicken.
Man, these little they thirsty for chicken, spring chicken. This kid is young. The second movie was right in my wheelhouse when I was watching that movie, Home Alone 2. Like Hook, you know what I mean? Those types of movies will always have a spot in my heart, and they're always going to be at the top of my favorite movies list, because I was in that age where I was in that yummy phase where I love grape soda, where I love candy, like, you know what I mean? When I just love silly stuff like that, and I feel like Ninja Turtles 2 falls right in there, and I still have not let go of it.
Yeah, Mr. Geeky.
I love it too.
Okay, great.
I was Secret of the Ooze. I mean, I here's the thing. I liked the first one. I liked it. And I think I saw it on. I think I had like a birthday party around the first one, and I heavily enjoyed the movie. But I think I liked Ooze. I felt that the first one was the closest to Mirage, right? And so, fun fact with that is that I started with Mirage for the comics, and my parents didn't thought that was too mature for me at the time. So they were like, "Whoa!" But they could see I really liked Ninja Turtles, and they could see I really, but there was still, you know, there was some adult stuff in there, and so they were like, well, okay, but how? To put it nicely, exactly. I mean, they were, it was ninjas. There was ninja stuff, and so they were like, well, here's Archie. Here's this other series you can do. But I was like, I enjoyed it, but I was also wise to it. So every time I go into the comic shop, I would buy the Archie comic, but I would read the Mirage while I was still in there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was older that I went back and I like picked up all the Mirage too.
Yeah.
But okay, that's a side note. The Ooze I liked, I think, better than the first one because you actually got to see the mutation process.
Yeah.
You got to see some brand new characters that you hadn't seen before with Toka and Raza. And it was like, it was the closest thing at the time to getting a Bebop and Rocksteady on film. Mm-hmm. They clearly were not Bebop and Rocksteady, but it was still, you know, it was still. We
didn't care, right?
We didn't care, right? We didn't care.
And there was characters to us, yeah.
You got mutated henchmen.
Right.
That's all that matters.
And it was Henson done. So it's like
it was great.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I always look at the first and the second as the two that embody those two the best, because Mirage is the 90, and I would argue that Archie is the Secret of the Ooze, because you have that almost like cheese that's just kind of dripping over it a little bit, where you have the goofy, you know, bit with the bouncing clown, and you have a little bit more of the sense of humor, as opposed to like, we're going to make it nitty and gritty, and we're doing this as a kind of a ha-ha jab at a bunch of very serious comics. Mm-hmm. But Mitch Falcon, thank you. Secret of the Ooze is a little dumber but funnier.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely agree. I love both of them. And then number 3, you know, is what it is. I still watch the crap out of it, and I know who Baltimora is because of it. So
have you read the plot for 4, the part 4 that wasn't made? That was, and it's such a shame that didn't happen, because it.
For the folks out in the audience who don't know it, Mr. Geeky, the floor is yours. Give us Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4.
Well, I mean, what it kind of seemed like it was. It was like alternate dimension stuff, right? I mean, there was like a character named Spider. There was like all these. It was like this really risque version of April that you know, didn't make it off the drawing board there. But it's the idea was that the Turtles would have like another. It ended up kind of happening in the cartoon series in the Fred Wolf, where it was like the second mutation, right? They each would have like these powers. It's like the second mutation would also be like, now they can do weird powery kind of things on top of it.
It was basically them playing off of like Power Rangers and that kind of market. Like if you look at it, I mean, it's kind of the similar idea to what happened with Ghostbusters 2 and Real Ghostbusters, where they're like, oh, we see something really, really exciting and popular happening. We need to lean into this. Mm-hmm. And I think sadly they leaned too far. And I think that's where it kind of hit the snag, as it were, of like, you're going to do what? Like,
I don't know. I love that Slimer cartoon. The Slimer solo cartoon was fantastic.
I have nothing against it. I'm just saying, like, so Ghostbusters 2, like, the reason that Ernie Hudson had to shave the stash and like go the flat top, the reason the slime was pink, the reason, you know, like, that they pushed certain aspects of it was because they were playing off of something else. And I feel like Turtles was going to kind of be being like cherry picking of like, oh, we could use this and this and this to make something that would basically be like the Uber Turtle. Like,
there was, I mean, I would also agree with the idea of that Ooze was more Archie based, but I'd also say
adorable.
They were understanding their demographic of the.
I gotta step away. I'll be back.
The Fred Wolf.
No worries, dude.
Yeah, no worries. I would say they also recognized the Fred Wolf animated series demographic they had there too, and they were kind of playing. They're playing more into that, because the first one was they were still getting their sea legs, as it were, or their mutant legs, as it were, and.
Turtles as a whole was getting their legs, because they noticed the popularity, and then they're like, well, we have to use the source material. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that in the development of that, you already had the cartoon that had been developed, and they were going, but the comic was so popular, because the proof in the pudding hadn't happened with the Fred Wolf cartoon at the time of the beginning of the development of the movie. So they went with the source material that was a known factor. And I'm grateful for it because we did get a crazy cool, like, I don't know how to describe it, like accurate, like depiction of the turtles in conjunction with also having the cartoon out. You know what I mean? So you could really see the contrast in the platform of media. In Secret of the Ooze, Professor Jordan Perry was originally supposed to be an Utrom. That would have been a bit more interesting. That would have been dope.
Ooh, yeah.
Just blah, blah, blah. Well, because I had read one thing that said he was supposed to be the Fugitoid.
Oh,
which would have been cool. But again, okay, so 92, thinking of the special effects that would have been utilized at that time, unfortunately, I feel like would have almost dated the film because but at the same time, Henson could have done it.
I know. Well, I'm thinking like it could have been more Yoda-y, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the change between early Star Wars movies and the later ones where it went from like Muppet to CGI, right? And it's like there's some charm to the idea of a Krang-esque creature that was like actually rubber and foam and felt like it had more personality than something.
Yeah, it
jumping
would have
around the
been
room.
Really interesting to see what they would have done. Welcome back, Mark.
So guys, I apologize. That's
You're good.
Obviously not the most professional evening for Turtle Talk.
We're all dads here, and since when were we professionals? I'm just throwing that out there.
I very much appreciate you. He did want to say bye. He got too excited, and Mom got home, and now he's going outside to play with sparklers, so he's good to go. I appreciate you. I don't know, being patient with me there. That was okay. We're good. We can continue with the show now.
Mitch Falcon throwing some sweet concept art in there. Very cool stuff. But yeah, we were just talking about how like the ridiculousness that could have been the fourth movie, or from some of the concepts of how they might have been able to play in that realm of
See, I know nothing about the fourth movie. I'm literally copy and pasting Mitch's link right now, and I'm digging through it as we speak. Jesus, is this real?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You're in for a treat of something.
I'm getting. Oh man. I'm only halfway down the page and I'm blown away.
I'm going to pull it up. So give me one moment because I can't copy and paste in StreamYard for some reason. So give me a moment.
And this was I'm just scrolling through and looking at the pictures. This is what we do every month when we do this show. It's me getting caught up on old Ninja Turtle stuff that you guys obviously are very much experts in. Is this the fourth movie as far as this was after the time travel movie?
Yeah. I think
ridiculous.
But I mean, I think part of the reason it wasn't made was because of part 3. I think that they thought it was going to be much more successful than it was.
Number 3 tanked as far as their expectations were going to be because of the success for 1 and 2. Which is a bummer because like just think of the ridiculousness that could have resulted from it. You know what I mean?
Dude, like, I mean, I think the main piece missing from 3, and the thing is 3 in and of itself wasn't so bad. It's just that like 2 set a bar that I didn't.
It wasn't a bad movie. It was a bad turtle movie.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, but it's more. It's also like for a movie that's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it didn't focus as much on like the mutant piece to it. And
absolutely, you're exactly right.
And it could have been like this could have been a fun opportunity to bring in Usagi in some way. That I mean, it would be a stretch.
I'm stuck on that as well. I don't understand how this fourth movie would have worked. How do you transition from the time traveling? What was the lamp thing called? How do you transition from that to now all of this? How do you explain that Splinter? The notes here say that here's a design idea for the unfilmed fourth live action movie. We wanted to give Splinter a much more active part in battles that the Turtles fought, and so he was going to have the ability to morph into a big, muscular, super rat mutant type thing. How do you explain that 4 movies in?
The same way that you explain this. The ninjas spent the whole 3rd movie as samurai.
Good point.
But also that Splinter was similar to a version they had in the Mirage too. So it's not so far off base. But it's again taking its inspiration from like popular movies at the time, like even like that spider character, right? Felt like it was like straight out of Terminator. It looked to me like this was like they're going for a darker. And again, what the Ninja Turtles, Fred Wolf, in the seasons 9, 10, ended up becoming, right? It became a little bit darker, a little bit more grim, and that was taking inspiration from Batman the Animated Series. It was taking inspiration from other successful stuff at the time.
I feel like this would be the third series of Lost, where they were like, what can we do now? Grab everything. Just grab everything. Smoke monsters. Yeah, let's throw it. Like it's that thing of it's one of those moments of looking back at it. I would have loved to have seen what an absolute cluster it would have been. And I feel like it would have been one of those movies that you look back on and you're like, man, remember how crazy that thing was? We should pop that on. Because I don't know. I would have been incredibly interested in it. But it's Turtles, so of course I would have been. Sound off in the comments in the chat, folks, if you have any idea of how you would have reacted, because I'm pretty sure I would have been eating a pudding pie at the theater opening night, being all amped up on sugar, watching the catastrophic madness that would have been. And we are 30 minutes into the show and we've made it through one question.
Great.
It's okay. It's okay. That's half the fun of this. Like I said, it's very free form. Dan is well aware of this.
Oh, sure. I'm in no rush.
But so we talked about for kind of first exposure to the Turtles and whatnot. Hey KJ, how's it going? Because all three of us are collectors, whether we started that way, got into it later, or whatnot. Mr. Geeky, what was your favorite figure that you had growing up out of the Turtles?
Well, I mean, okay, growing up is different than now. I've got some.
We'll get there.
Yeah, but I guess growing up, I had a couple. The first one that stands out to me in terms of the one I remember having that I used to play with all the time was Slash. I loved the feel. I loved the color of it. I loved the fact that it didn't, I love that smirk he had on his face too. And I loved the texture, just like you could see like his little like creases and the little bumps. It was very different than the other Turtles. And it was fun in imagination wise to try and,
it was visceral. Like I said it was visceral compared to the other Turtles. Like there was so much more detail on that than most of the Turtles that had been out at that time.
Right. Well, I mean, we didn't know much about that character either, and it's like you fill in the gaps. As a kid, you fill in the gaps. You're like, why does he have? Like what are all these things he's got? What's the story with this like serrated knife he's got? What's the story with this like crazy belt? I mean, it all is like. Why does he have an eye that's a yellow dot versus whatever? Yeah. It's it plays to the imagination, and I love that. And even as an adult, I love that too. That I see the joy that some of these figures bring to my kids also in terms of them. In some cases, I like to try and not have them see anything beforehand before I present them with a new figure to kind of get a sense of like, what do you think this character is? And then like, okay. You're wrong. But you're wrong. But I hope you had fun being wrong. But yeah, I mean, so Slash was, I think, one of my all-time favorites. Monty Moose, I really liked. That's was a choice. That was, and honestly, it's like the more I think about it now, the more I think that was meant to be Dirk. What's his name? The name is. Dirk Savage? Is Dirk Savage? The mutant hunter? Yeah. It had the same motif. It had the same look. It felt to me like maybe this was like meant to be the future of Dirk. That even on the front of the package, I remember seeing like, I'm gonna catch a mutant or something like that. I'm ad-libbing that. I don't remember what the actual one.
Yeah. It probably was, alliteration and a lovely, slightly insensitive joke as it could be when you go back like, oh shit.
Yep.
But so okay, that was your favorite figure as a kiddo. What about today?
Today, I mean, I'm loving the, almost all of NECA stuff. But I mean,
I was going to ask: are you still asking about Playmates, or are you asking about just every figure in general?
I mean, we could break it down further. We could go Playmates, NECA, Super7.
Whatever you guys want.
All right. I mean,
I'm good with whatever. We got all night.
Playmates, I also liked. Okay, so was the Flash Forward? I'm trying to remember where they had the Dark Turtles. Those were some of my favorite.
That was Fast Forward, yeah.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite because it was like, in a way, you were getting the second Mutation Turtles finally, And I remember watching. It was much different versions, right? I mean, they looked very different than what they look like and I'm hoping that NECA will eventually get to those two as like oversized, but and
cool.
And Carter, mutant form Carter, yeah. Anyways, I'm probably in the minority on that.
For reference, what he's talking about from the Fast Forward line is these guys.
Yeah, those guys are awesome.
Those are awesome.
And they were in, like, how would the Mutation know to be in their color? It's like there's just so much nonsense about this, but at the same time, you don't care.
Combined the turtle with the bandana.
Yeah,
they are one.
It's I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the newer. I know this is how my brain works, right? I'm going to be jumping all over the place, but the IDW Ghostbusters stuff that was tied into that too. Have you been? Yep. Did you follow any of that? Where it was like Darius Dunn, where he became it was this crossover one where he became like this entity, and then he helped like to connect in those spirits of these other, and they bring
them all together to the main plane,
and essentially they were those Fast Forward turtles.
Yeah. They were the Dark Turtles, totally. And the the writer of that series is Eric Burnham. He's a very dear friend of mine. And when I saw that, I asked him about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, no, I love that series." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Nice. Like, and obviously, you had a little love coming from the artist, of course. So, but yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So, okay, we got that far. So we're good on Playmates. So let's move over to modern times. Let's go NECA first.
Stuff that's out now, or do you want me to jump ahead?
Let's say that's NECA. Period. Coming already out. Whatever. Thank you, Mitchell.
Was it it was the Stone Soldiers 2-pack. I mean, that's
really.
I was
Dragon Grandor.
I waited on like cartoon versions of those forever, and so when I finally had those, and I think I have them behind me here too.
That's a good call.
Yeah, I'm excited to eventually open those and like actually have them in my hands. But I've just been staring at it and kind of waiting for the right time. But it's looking at it's just looking at a work of art. I mean, it seems like it just jumped straight off of the screen, and I get a little smile every time I look at it. I'm just like, yeah,
they are insanely posable, I will say, because I was expecting jack crap for the articulation of those figs, like just because they're so bulky. And like I think legit the first photo I ever took of them was them breakdancing, because I tried to do them like running and they fell over, and I'm like, wait a second. And so I reposed them, and it's a fantastic pick for sure. But I'm actually going to turn this on to my co-host as well, Dan.
Oh yeah.
What about you? What's that NECA figure that just trips your trigger?
I gotta go with Toka and Razor. I'm gonna cop out and pick two of them. I haven't opened them. Yeah. At this point, I haven't opened them. At this point, to me, there's still one figure. I've been waiting my entire life for those figures. They're screen accurate to the fine detail of Razor's fur is all in the right place. Like, I couldn't ask for better figures. Just like you, Geeky, I can't wait to unbox those figures and get them in my hands. I just haven't had the time to do so because it takes so much work to go through those boxes and get them out of there. But those figures, when they announced those at Comic-Con and they finally showed the images of those two with Super Shredder, I mean, my turtle collecting was like, okay, I'm After as long as I get those 3, I'm done. I'm out. I can die happy.
I'm throwing it out there. Those 3 are front and center. Like I have a movie diorama and a toon diorama, and like everything about that 2-pack is insane. The like really stupid thing that like pushed it over the edge for me is the box of donuts. And the fact that you have the crushed cruller that has the ice cube painted in. Like the articulated eyebrows, good call, Mr. Ryan Clark, but it's all about the donuts for me. Like it's such a stupid little accessory, but I have in Toka's hand, in his clawed hand,
pre-fight donuts.
He has the crushed donut.
Love it.
Just in his paw. And it makes me so happy.
And it's those little details, right? I mean, it's they're that's what I love. I think about this line is that it's like such attention to detail and such like it's about the fans too, and it's about like the deep dive stuff that really is like it's a love letter to the people who collect.
And dude, that one, so I got one that it embodies exactly what you're saying, and mine's kind of a weird 2-pack because it's something that we waited for a very long time. We had many figures of both characters, but Splinter and Baxter, the 2-pack there, because do you have any idea how many custom Splinters I've made for people?
I'm sure there's never been a good one, right?
You know, and that plus the mat, the props, the Baxter Stockman. Just too sweet is very nice, but that leaves us with one category. We've gone NECA, we've gone Playmates, Mr. Geeky. We're going to that higher price point right behind you, actually. Super 7. Whether you have it or don't, what is the Super 7 figure for you?
Well, okay. I mean, off the bat, I'll say I really like this Munition Man. I thought I was wondering how they were going to pull it off in such an amazing way, and they did really, really well. There was I off the new wave, and I don't have it yet, but I saw the photo and I was like, this is I think it was literally 10 seconds since of me seeing the photo and clicking buy on Big Bad. But it's Manta Ray. I mean, Ray Fillet.
Yeah.
And it was just like it was the version that yes, it's the toy, and yes, it reminds me of the early toy that I had, but it's also has a look and feel of the Archie incarnation a bit as well. And it just looked beautiful. I mean, the idea of having that, and I'm also a big, like, I like the idea of having new Mutanimals and like, original Mutanimals, having the whole group. I'm holding out hope for the idea of getting a Jaguar, getting a Dreadmon at some point down the road here too.
Pigeon Pete, baby.
Yeah, well, right. I mean, but we're talking. That's the modern incarnation too, and like there's some really cool ones there too. Sally Pride in particular. Oh wow, that would be like such a fun one. And Old Hob, but like that was always a big pet peeve of mine with the original is that you had Leatherhead, you had Ray Fillet, you had Mondo, you had it's like you had most of these characters. There was two that you didn't. You had Wingnut and Screw Loose too. Yeah. And we never got that. At one point, they were going to be doing a Jaguar character that I saw was going to be released, and it got to the prototype stage.
Yep.
And it just never came out.
Didn't make the cut.
Which it wasn't my favorite look of Jaguar, so I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I want that. I feel like we'll come back to this, and that's kind of like as maybe like the character that you always wish you had kind of thing. But
we'll be coming back. No worries. And actually, Bean 2099 in the chat, by the way, fantastic screen name as I always say, but asked, what character /figure do you hope NECA and Super 7 will make in the near future? So you had mentioned the Mighty Mutanimals, for sure on the list. I know one big one that actually we were kind of talking about earlier before the stream. Sorry guys, it didn't make air. is the neutrinos.
Yeah.
I would love an animated set of the neutrinos. What about you, Dan?
It's tough, man. Like I would love the neutrinos. I'd love anything, right? Anything that if they're coming out with guys that represent the original cartoon, I'm not going to bat an eye at anybody that they bring out. I would tend to lean more towards the earlier guys than some of the later stuff in like season 8 when we started going into space and going all over the place.
They have Doom Quest and
it's if I could get and also I get confused on what we've already announced and purchased in those pre-order weeks a couple months ago. We got a wingnut, right?
No,
not yet.
We got
all right. Then mark it down for a wingnut. I could use a wingnut.
Well, I mean, and Fred Wolf accurate wingnut and screw loose. We're talking big screw loose on that one too. Which would be
absolutely, that'd be great.
Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Geeky?
So the question is Fred Wolf and Super7. So on the Fred Wolf side of thing,
Falcon's on it.
There is. I would love to get a Colossus. Was it Genghis? I'm trying. It was one of the frogs that was the Colossus. There's some deep cut ones that I'm really looking forward to getting. I guess would be excited for a Brick Bradley, Bugman Brick Bradley. I think, and I feel like one is coming. Because it's been teased. I know on the Disguised Turtles, they're like on the box art for that. There was a hint at that. Zach the Fifth Turtle is another one that I've been kind of just like, I know it's coming.
Begging for Zach,
and they teased him. So we even got.
How did they tease him? I might have missed that.
Hold up, I have it right here. There's 2 teases on the box.
Well, three. There's 4, I guess 4. Right? There's human Baxter. There's Electro Zapper. Right?
I can barely see that. Who's in the other window?
So I've heard a couple of things. I've heard that this is supposed to be Scrag. I've also heard it's supposed to be human Baxter Stockman.
That looks more like, Baxter. Or you mean Barney Stockman? That'd be fun if you could get Baxter and Barney heads on there.
Yeah.
Oh, good call.
That would be. That to me feels like that's. I don't know. I kind of thought we were gonna have that with Baxter when they announced Baxter, was that it was like, here's pieces to change him into, but if we could make him Barney and Baxter, then I think that
maybe an accessory pack down the line, an extra head.
Yeah.
Or that's the 2-pack.
That would I'd be absolutely fine with that. 100% fine with that. But I think I also was really excited to see some of those characters I never thought that I would see, like Scrag. I mean, the Loot Crate Scrag. I mean, yes, you have to buy all in to get it, and that's another one where I bit the bullet on that and was like, I'm doing it. I need to get Scrag. And here's the thing. In all honesty, it's been such a long time. Dave and I were talking about this earlier. Danny, I vaguely remember Danny. That was not the appeal character to me. I'm happy to have it, but I don't.
You're talking about Danny from the first movie?
Yeah, it's been a long time since.
Oh, what a statement! What a controversial hot take we got here. Danny is nothing, according to Mr. Geeky.
No, Danny is
barely rememberable.
You are. You're ruining me, man. No, I mean Danny is. Here's the thing. I remember him vaguely in my mind. But again, it's been many years since I saw it. Oozes much more crystal clear in my head. Sure. Right. When we talked the donuts, I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Danny's like
Kino. I'll give you that. He's not as like screen ready, or he doesn't pop off the screen. Right, exactly. It's also Dan now.
Dan. Sorry.
But Kino is the same character in the second movie, but Kino was a lot more like, he had it. Like, he was popping off the screen. Danny in the first movie kind of blended in with all the other foot soldiers and didn't really have anything that made him pop. Do you have a character from the first movie that you would have preferred that they would have made instead of Danny?
I mean, you're asking me to remember everything. I mean, they've made all the primaries from that film. That I mean, Kino was one I'm still waiting on. That I'm like, that's what I'm excited for.
Him and the professor.
Exactly. So from the first one, no. I mean,
I don't even know what other option you have other than Danny's dad. But if you don't remember Danny, I doubt you remember his father.
Yeah,
I don't. I mean, it's like asking me from part 3 who I remember the best of.
There you go. Okay.
But I was more excited for the fact that we're getting the Dark Turtle, and we're getting Armagon, and we're getting Scrag, right? So I mean, this is
sure.
Am I forgetting somebody?
No,
that's everybody, right?
Dark. Mutated Shredder.
Oh, Mutated Shredder, right? Which I'm also. I'm
Armagon, you say?
Yeah.
We'll get back to him.
I was saying this before too. Like the Armagon, I'm really excited to get that Tournament Fighters Armagon. But I don't know if I'm as excited as if I were to get the Archie version.
Yeah.
Which, that would. I like that. I like the idea that this could be teasing into that we're now expanding into Tournament Fighters. I just don't know if this is a licensing thing. If they have to do it a certain way where they can only do it through Loot Crate, or if this is going to be like the other, arcade turtles and stuff, where we are going to have full lines with these. In which case,
right? How many games can we jump between? I agree with you.
Yeah, but I'm excited for. There's some really fun options, including like the clone turtles too. I mean, purple turtles of all the turtles. I mean, that's great.
All of them are Donnie.
Okay, I left off on NECA. Okay, here's what I would be most excited for. A couple things. One is the remainder of Bebop and Rocksteady's gang, which is, I'd love to see Grunt. I'd love to see Dopey and Dumbo. And, I mean, those are characters that I feel like we'll get them as Loot Crate characters. To me, it seems like that's the modality they might go with it, because they're not as necessarily well known. They are for people who are, for I say that tentatively. People do know who they are, who those characters are, but I don't. I think that it's not as recognizable as Bebop and Rocksteady, or someone like Ground Chuck or Dirtbag is an example.
I feel like when they heard that, like there was the rumor and innuendo of, hey, there's going to be a gang member, and people were thinking, oh, it's going to be an unmutated Bebop and Rocksteady. And I still think that's in the timeline somewhere. Yeah. But actually, interestingly enough, we have a couple folks that threw out some pretty kick-ass ideas. 4-pack samurai set from TMNT 3, which would be a cool one and done. I mean, unless you're going to do Lord Norinaga, you're not really going to do too much from that movie, I'm guessing. Tatsu, of course, and Sam Rockwell.
I have a question for you guys on Rockwell. I always see people asking for Sam Rockwell. I love Sam Rockwell in everything that he's in, and I love him in the first Turtle movie. But if the character is not played by Sam Rockwell, do people still want a figure of him?
No.
It's only because it's Sam Rockwell, right?
Yeah. It's because people went, oh, I know who that is.
Right, exactly. They feel they feel like some sort of enlightenment because they realize, oh, this is a guy before he was a guy.
Right. Yeah. I knew him when.
Yeah. Exactly. And so finally we're on that Super 7 choo-choo train, Mr. Geeky.
So here's I don't know if this is possible. So of the characters that were made, I am because it's all of the toys that were created. I have a hefty list of characters I want to see, but I mean, Fugitoid is high up there. Walkabout is pretty high on the list. I would love to see Scratch. And I mean, the thing is too, and this. I'm gonna jump for 2 seconds and we can come back to this. But I like the notion of thinking about, as being kind of a loophole idea here. If NECA could do Fred Wolf versions of some of the characters that were Playmates, but in the Fred Wolf version, which has never been done, and they weren't there except for theoretically Worm. right? And I
Yeah.
mean,
Oof.
because Worm was in the Playmates commercial in the Fred Wolf style. So I mean, there's that loophole there that's like, well, could we do that then?
What a terrifying character, by the way, Worm.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. in an Archie book, he talks about wanting to eat worm flesh. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Terrifying character.
Oh, so terrifying, but lovable and endearing at the same time.
Remind me not to come over for dinner.
Okay, yeah, I mean, but it brings up a good point. Worm is one of those characters I'd love to see Super7 do. I know that they would knock it out of the park. I mean, that one would be a lot of fun. I saw, I mean, that saw what they did with Muckman. I saw what they did with Mondo, and I'm like, okay, they will do good by Worm.
I'm very curious if for Worm, the turtles and stuff that have the swappable head, if they'll give him like, if they make him, if they give him like a swappable, like crazy eating head and like the standard closed mouth, or they give like an Archie version and, you know, the more classic, you know, look. I'd be real curious to see what would come of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's variant colors too. If you think to like there was that series that was going to. So this is kind of like going off the rails a little bit, but there was that series that was with the selected, and do you know what I'm talking about? It was like where it was going to be like a whole bunch of new characters that got scrapped, but Worm was in that.
We can't show the pictures yet on those.
Well, okay.
There's rumors that a bunch of that stuff is going to be included in a new book that's coming out. Hopefully a lot of that stuff will come unearthed. Another one is that Rad Plastic book, which shows off a metric shit ton of figures. Crayshot, I'm right with you. The Pizza Monster from NECA, hella exciting. I'm very frustrated that you could only order two. Yet in all the ads, they showed 3. Scumbug from Super7 or the Dino Turtle. Very cool.
Yes,
Universal Monsters would be great.
Oh, dude, I want a Mummy Raph and a Franken-Don or a Franken Mikey. And Bean 29.9. Conversely, I'd like to see Super7 do cartoon characters that never originally got Playmates toys done in Playmate style, i.e. Granitor, Rex 1.
There you go.
Oh, that'd be great. That's a great idea.
And I think that's the fun thing is there's a lot of that cross-pollination that I think is going to happen more and more. However, I'm getting a little nervous because this was brought up to me by one of my buddies. He's like, okay, so Playmates is going to start producing toys again, or producing turtle toys again. I said, yeah. And kind of like we had mentioned before, you know, they already have the tooling, so that's why they're reproducing those. But it's like, are they doing that to dip their toe in to like kind of suck some of the rights back in? You know what I mean? Like, because no offense to Playmates, they made a large chunk of my childhood. But
they earned it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But if I had the choice between current Playmates figures, NECA or Super7, like I know, like to have affordable turtle figures on the shelves again would be something tremendous, in my opinion. And we're kind of getting that with those Loyal Subject figures, or Loyal Subjects figures.
The minier, the smaller version.
These guys.
Yeah, I got some over to the side here.
These are ones that are coming out that basically look like bootleg SH Figure Arts figures, but they're part of the 5-inch line that they're putting out.
This is Loyal Subjects.
Yeah, and so
I like the Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
They're doing Beetlejuice, and this is the series that they're in.
Okay.
But if you look at these, and then you look at the SH Figure Arts, like they are undoubtedly based off of one another. Like the SH Figure Arts figures are so dead on. Like the alternate heads and everything that come with them even are like almost identical, which is just like, okay, cool. You're taking high-end figures, making them your own to put them out at, I think it's like a $15 price point. Which is cool because it's an affordable figure. However, it's a Walmart exclusive, so who knows who will find them. But the idea of Playmates being able to possibly put out a line of Turtles figures again is exciting. But kind of scary because it's like, oh, I like what's over here, and I like that you're putting something that's attainable out again, for kids. But it's like, hopefully one won't cancel out the other.
I mean, the price point wasn't super low though for the Playmates ones, was it? I thought it was like around the 2-pack, the one that you were
Oh no! I was talking about the like back in the day, like Playmates were.
Oh yeah,
they were much cheaper.
Yeah, it was like $4 or $5. But yeah. I want to say 367. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The new 2-packs are apparently going to be on par with NECA essentially. So the 2-pack, I think are rumored to be like 40.
Okay. And that's what I'm saying with the loyal subjects. That's to me is like a price point that you could, if you're there with your kids and they're like, I'd like to have that. Yeah. It's like you play with, and it's much more doable than it. Like I'm going to collect this. It's going to sit on my shelf, and you can't. You can play with it once, but I'm watching you play with it. Make sure you're not hitting them too hard against each other.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is like, having something that's attainable. Like the 2012 series was kind of the last one that had that. And like I'm very thankful that Ollie is super into that because the figures are pretty easily it's easy to grab them still. Like for between swaps and everything, and like he's not like super rough with them, but he plays with them. He's 4, and like I have no worry that he's gonna, but it is underneath his pillow. Sorry, it's bedtime for the kiddo.
Answering the important questions.
The story was lost.
While he's doing that, what is your thoughts on you mentioned Playmates? Did Playmates put out these 6 figures, the 4 Turtles, Splinter, and Shredder in the Turtle Band box? It was like a Walmart or Target exclusive.
The classic. Is that
they put out multiple renditions of that. They repainted them as the Mirage comics. They did a standard release. They did an anniversary release. Then they did a Movie Stars pack that was I think it was the movie. Yes. Yeah, Movie Stars, Turtles, Splinter, and I think the Super Shredder. I'm trying to remember what the 6th figure
Foot Soldier, maybe.
Maybe it was.
They did.
I think it was the Foot Soldier. But do you think those will have an impact? And including those and all the other ones you're talking about, will those affect the licensing, like you said, if they realize that they have something here, they can, if they have all the tooling already, they can just start re-releasing all the old figures like every other freaking line that we had when we were a kid is doing. There's He-Man figures in stores right now. There's G.I. Joe in stores. There's Jurassic Park. There's Transformers, and they're all in the original packaging that we had when we were kids. Now Turtles is doing the same thing. Do they realize that this is a thing now, and they start taking those licenses back because there's money on the table for them to make?
Did they ever lose Did they lose the license? They have
the master license, so they can like kind of parse it out however
they can parse it out and they can take it back, right?
Yeah, but that's exactly the thing is if they see the money where they can basically reuse old tools, like will they do it?
I would think that would impact Super 7 more
the most because the figures are basically I agree.
But and if they did that off of it's okay with Masters of the Universe, it's still new sculpts, it's still new,
more articulated,
more articulated stuff. So like with Turtles, if they did that, I'd actually be much more inclined to be interested on that version than the one that they are currently doing, which is just it's like a repackage of the ones they released a handful of years ago. But that said, like I still haven't seen a whole lot of the new stuff come out. It does in this moment. It seems like I'm hesitant to say it's a cash grab because it seems but it seems like they're repurposing stuff they already had out there to try and get a second. They see the success of Turtles right now, and they are like, okay, well, why can't we try this again? And that's when I saw that for Shredder, like when it first came out, it never came out, but the proto of it, I was incredibly excited about it. This is before NECA started. I'm trying to remember. NECA, I think, was only doing the Comic-Con exclusive at the time, right?
That was at the very, very beginning of the line.
Yeah.
Where everybody was like, wait, how are you doing this? And it was because they were all con exclusives, and then they got the exclusive rights through GameStop and so on.
Right, and that's so I was asking. I talked to I was messaging back with Steve Arney the other day, and I was asking him specifically about licensing in terms of some of these old. He puts up a lot of the pictures of like unproduced characters.
Okay, cool.
And to me, because they they were creating them. He was very much entrenched in that during the Playmates days. And so he has access to all these old conceptual art. And so I'm like, okay, well, now seems the perfect time to be releasing some of those characters that we've never seen before. And we've never, it's like the fan base is so massive and so, the kids who grew up with these things that wouldn't have been able to afford them at the time are now at a place where they want more. They want new stuff. And especially things that were kind of dropped on the cutting room floor. There's some really cool options. There's some really exciting conceptual options there that would be the smart way to go about it, I think, for Playmates.
I agree. As a different option compared to everything else that everybody else is doing. I don't think Super7 can go that route right now. No. They can't abandon what they're doing. Everybody loves what they're doing currently. They can't now branch off and start releasing figures or characters that were never released. I think they need to at least ride this out for a bit until people are, I don't want to say not sick of it, but until they have their fill. You know what I mean? Until they filled out their rosters a little bit more. I do think you're right. I think that Playmates has that door open for that. Find something different. Find something that NECA and Super7 aren't doing and make yourself stand out.
Well, exactly. And I think they not only are they not doing it, but I don't think they have the license to do it. So where Playmates does.
There you go. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So this is something they'd have, an essential monopoly on being able to do this stuff. And not only that, but it's like you are catering towards brand new stuff that people have never seen before. And given it's like you're adding to the mythos in that way too.
Right.
And it feels genuine and it feels right because it actually came from it. It was always a part of it. We just didn't know it was part of it. Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen, but that's a great idea.
So Playmates, if you're listening,
let us take over for a day.
That's the way to do it. Exactly. I briefly touched on this with Dave a little bit earlier about the idea that like possibly, can I discuss that? The rumor mill on Super7 with
okay. We're not sponsored by anybody.
Well, I mean, so the rumor is that they might be branching into and expanding into the later iteration of toys. So they might be actually doing toys of 2003. They might be doing toys of 2012.
There's just so much ground to cover before they get there. And at the pace that they're going, it'll be, 2035 and it'll be like, I know. Here's a 2003 Donnie. But what?
Well, I mean, they do such quality work that it's like I can't be upset because of the wait, because I'm not let down. I'm never let down when I get the new stuff when it comes. Every single time I get the new, even though it's like 4 figures every 5-6 months. It's not, or more. Every time I get them, it's still a huge treat, and I am blown away with the kind of material that they're giving to us.
Yeah.
I wish it was more. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you can't. But I think if they did go faster, it would perhaps the quality would suffer, and I'd much rather have the versions we're getting.
Well, and that's where like it's frustrating because I look at the NECA lines and I'm like, man, they are cranking. They are pumping out stuff left and right. There's so much ground to still cover with the Fred Wolf cartoons and the movies and everything. But there's part of me that's like, are they going to beat them to the punch? Are we going to see them reach the end of the Fred Wolf figs that they want to do and then jump into 2003 or 2012? Because I mean, I would be all for it, but there's so many more characters that they can dredge from the bowels of the Fred Wolf thing.
It's a totally different topic, but I don't see that happening. I honestly think if NECA keeps going at the rate that they're going, and I don't know if you guys are in the same boat that I am with the amount of what is out there right now. I have a bunch of dinos and the first Frog set. They are just lining the shelves of my Target. If they keep releasing them at this rate and people keep not picking up these side characters, I don't know that they're going to get to the end of them. Right? I think they're going to oversaturate the market. I'm worried for my beloved NECA line.
I have a feeling though with that it's kind of like Marvel Legends or Black Series, where they hit in waves, and it's like, okay, there's this huge demand, we'll ramp up shipping, and now it's clogging store shelves. Okay, now we'll bring it down. Oh, but there's the demand again, And
okay, I'd be fine with that.
I have that feeling that eventually they'll kind of find that sweet spot. But I know, like you were saying, like there's certain sets that are just clogging the shelves, which sucks. Because
it hurts.
Well, it also sucks because every time I go there, I'm like, he's going to clearance because maybe I will buy Triceratons,
I could use some more, absolutely.
Maybe I will. Like, why didn't this happen with the foot soldiers? I'm just saying. I've been that close several times to buying a second Splinter and Baxter pack because I want to make the Archie versions. From them. I'm like, no, not still $52. I can't swing that just for me going, I want to repaint them. I can't believe they didn't license Neutrino's frozen pizza. Talk about leaving money on the table. You're not wrong there. I'm surprised they haven't brought back any number of the TMNT like snacks, whether it be like the pizza, pizza flavored everything. The pudding pies, the pizza cereal,
the green pudding pies.
But now we have Seth Rogen directing a show, and he is the mother of all stoners. So if there's ever been a chance for us to get stupid snack foods out, now's the chance, guys.
Great call.
Come on, TMNT pizza rolls, let's go. It's gotta happen. All right, so that's question number 2. So we're rolling.
Yeah.
We actually made it through a couple. Pale Aragorn, pizza flavored pizza. So crazy, might this work? So okay, we covered favorite figures. I'm gonna just put it out there because you know what? I can screw it. I can just say to the vintage / previous lines before we talked figures, but what about play sets or vehicles? And you can pick one of each. How about this?
Well, okay,
playset or vehicle that you had,
not one that I wish I had.
That you want.
Okay, all right. So I don't know that I ever had the play sets. I know I wanted them, but I don't think I think that was like where my parents drew the line. They're like, no, you have any toy you want that's within this price range, but it was like the closest thing I had to the vehicles. I had a smattering of those. I had like the was it the Sewer Cycle? Cheapskate, Sewer Cycle. I was wanted. Yes, I did. Oh, was it there was the foot? There's the foot.
The claw thing,
which was
the knuckle dragger.
Yes,
I think is what it was called.
That sounds right. And it was like such a fun. I love the fact that it was like it was the foot and it was a hand. That was always I was kind of like. But I always wanted the Technodrome. Never had the Technodrome. That thing was like impossible to A, find and then B, afford. Yeah. Especially as a little kid, I'm like, I think it was. It was a lot for back then.
It was the Knucklehead.
Okay, it was. I knew Knuckle was in there somewhere. That was a fun toy. I feel
sorry, trying to remember.
I always wanted the Sewer Lair, but I don't want to say which version yet because that's to come. But
you've never had the original Sewer Lair though.
You never had the original Sewer Lair.
I didn't have it till I was an adult.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I love that thing. That was my go-to toy for any line of figures that I was playing with.
Well, la dee da. No. I definitely was the kid who made like, boxes and Kleenex boxes and paper towel tubes and stuff like that. Like
That's awesome.
that was always the play sets outside of the Toy Biz Batcave.
Okay, yeah, I had that.
Literally chunk of plastic that you could rotate. It was good times.
I wonder if that had anything to do with like how your progression towards doing your creating of the figures too, your customizing of the diorama stuff that you make out of necessity,
And I mean it wasn't even like, growing up it was never the thing of like, oh darn, I don't have that. It was okay, I don't have a sewer layer, I'm gonna make a sewer layer. I have a box, a thing of masking tape, and some Cheerios. Let's do this. But it was never that thing of like having to overcome something. Like it was just like, okay, I want to play with these guys in the sewer, and my parents will kill me if I actually go down into the sewer. Actually, there should have been no quotes around that because I would have actually tried to go down into the
100%. 100%.
So
there's many of them. Yeah.
So that is the ones that were your favorite. What about you, Dan? What were those like? Those things you dug?
Yeah, the sewer layers up there just because of the amount of playability it had for everything. It was just a street with a sewer and the what do you call those? The power lines, the swinging power lines. I loved using those. But then in addition to that, I had the Foot Cruiser. Is that the purple car?
Yeah.
Oh,
that thing again. Nice. Very playability wise on any line that I'm using it. It's just a purple Cadillac. Like it's just a purple. What's a topless car? What am I thinking of? The
convertible?
Yeah, convertible. That's the word I'm thinking of. Topless car. I'm an idiot. So yeah, both of those just made playing so much easier and not having to go through the route of having to tape together boxes and Kleenex boxes and tissue tubes. That was my childhood right there.
Oh yeah. I will say I miss the days when the Foot Cruisers, you could get them at garage sales for like $5 because I repainted and sold so many of those as Neutrino.
Neutrino, yeah.
And
it's a natural.
To this day, I'm like, I want to make one of those again, but I don't want to spend like $150 on a shell. I cannot find one of those for a decent price. So if anybody in the chat has a Foot Cruiser out there that they want to ditch, holla.
I had the Chuck Norris car. Do you know what I'm talking from the toy line that had, and actually that to me made a good like Foot Cruiser kind of thing in that it had a button on there that like pushed out. There was like a button you pushed and it would like hit. I think it was either like a foot or some sort of like thing that flared out and knocked people down. So I was like, okay, this is that now.
I'm actually pulling up a sweet. My God, that thing is like the Magnum PI, like ninja car.
Oh, it's great.
Look at that sucker.
Yeah. Ooh. It was fun. Yeah. The thing on the thing on the sides, those swung out, and it would like if you had people characters standing up. Yeah, it would knock them right down.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's amazing.
But that said, I still would have much rather had the actual foot cruiser that I never got to have.
I gotta say, favorite vehicle goes to the Party Wagon. Party Wagon wins out overall, but the Cheapskate is a close damn second.
I don't understand your love for the Cheapskate. We talked about this the last night too. But
I think it was that it was one that we had, but it was also the thing of I love skateboarding, so like turtles on skateboards. Like, okay, you got me. You got chocolate in my peanut butter. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. Let's effing go. But like another one was the sewer tubes. Like the actual tubes, like the there was a military tube. There was hold on.
The tubes, like the inner tubes, like the.
No, you're not saying the drill, right?
No, he's saying like an inner tube you put in a pool.
Tubes.
Yeah.
Oh,
inner tube.
Oh, yeah, just the tubes. Yeah, okay.
Like again, super simple. but like
It's
they were
practical.
so fun. Like you could take them in the bath, you could take them to the lake, you could do whatever with them. Just again, simple. They were cheap. They were like that was the thing with like the sewer cycle and the cheapskate and the foot ski and the tubes. Like they were relatively cost effective. So like I remember those being the ones that my folks were like, yeah. And then Christmas came around and fucking party wagon.
Yeah,
Like,
nice.
it was a base. It was a vehicle. It sometimes held up my brother's books, but the party wagon wins out overall for me, in my opinion.
My problem, going back to the cheapskate real quick. Tell me if I'm wrong, but the cheapskate, it had. Like, yes, if it was just a skateboard, I'd be all over it. But it's not just a skateboard. It has, like, the motor, the fan on the back, right? That I didn't like.
And it has the kicking foot.
Okay, that's my biggest problem. Because the kicking foot doesn't work unless you lift up the front two wheels, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. You did have to pick it up a little bit in order for it to work.
Right? They don't flip up. You can't just roll around. Flip the foot. Let me see you flip the foot.
So the thing is, too, with that is that
Grass falling.
To me, it would make more sense if there was an actual for the foot, right?
Yeah.
Because the foot that has it's like it was for the foot. Imagine like a foot soldier on there, and then having a thing that's a foot.
Agree with you.
That makes
Whitney Haverstock.
They're not always fighting the foot.
By. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you very much, man. But yeah, you're exactly right, Geeky. The turtles aren't always fighting the foot. They're going to space. They're fighting the rock soldiers. They're fighting Bebop and Rocksteady. They're fighting everybody, and sometimes they're fighting the foot. That doesn't mean you need to name one of your vehicles after the foot.
Well, that's why I liked it being the cheapskate, because it was always one of those things of like, it always was weird to me as a kid because there was the foot ski, there was this, there was that, and then it was like, here's the cheapskate. It literally has a foot on it, and the whole thing was it was meant to boot the foot, and I always thought that was
I get it, but okay, the turtles get the call. The April lets them know, okay, we've got trouble in middle of New York. We need you guys to get here right away. They all jump on their cheapskates. They arrive. Oh, it's not the Foot Clan. Bebop and Rocksteady are robbing a bank. All right, guys, pack up the cheapskate. We got to put it back. We definitely can't hit them with that. Do we have anything that has Bebop's face on it? You can't do that.
That's where you just stab them because you have swords and knives. It's that thing of like Secret of the Ooze where people were like, don't they have weapons? It's like, yeah, no, they have weapons. They just couldn't use them because they were trying real hard to be like, it's cool, kids, not stabbing people.
What they have more of is sarcasm.
Yeah, they're gonna be wise asses, and that their weapon is their wit.
Are we? By the way, are we counting Needle Nose? Are we counting Killer Bee?
Those I count as the original Mega Mutants. Like those were I always kind of attributed like Battle Cat or Panther. Like I don't consider them necessarily vehicles. They are modes of transportation, I suppose. But
I mean,
that's Mitch.
That'll have to be another question down the road. Which I mean, not that there's so many.
Which mode of
transportation?
So we've talked about this before, and this isn't to like throw a bunch of pressure on you to get your grail or get a bunch of the people in the chat to go after your grail. But what is that one item, turtle related, that is your white whale holy grail that you just really, really, really like still to this day are after? Also, really quick shout out, the pizza thrower is the one that I didn't have as a kid, but love, and is one of my favorite vehicles. Like, that was one as an adult that I love.
That's like the tank where it has the right? Is that
the pizza feed, and then it launches them, and it says like, "Do not aim at humans or animals."
And of course you do. I mean, I think that was like I traumatized my brother with that when I was growing up. It was just like I'd follow him around the house just using this pizza thrower.
They did use the turtle blimp a lot in the cartoon. It is one way to beat New York City traffic. That is another one that was like far out of my folks' price range and everything. But damn, was it a cool toy? At least I think. I never owned it.
Okay, so my grail, is, I think it's probably the same grail as a lot of people, right? I mean, so of figures that were made, there's like prototype stuff that I have as kind of my grail too, but the figures that were made, it's probably Scratch. I mean, it's I never, that was one of the mutants. That was one of the mutants that I never could get. And I got Hotspot. I don't know how I got Hotspot, but I got Hotspot, and but I could never find Scratch. And that's when I'm like, all right, Super7, don't let me down,
I have a funny story about Scratch, because I've actually owned one Scratch ever. And I bought, so literally this figure sat on the shelves in, I believe it was Hardware Hanks in Ely, Minnesota, since I was a little kid. Just sat up high on a peg, tagged, like never thought twice about it as a little kid. It was literally on the shelves till like, I want to say like 5-6 years ago. And I walked in and I brought it up front and I was like, you know, this is a really rare figure, right? And they're like, it's $6, man. And I'm like, here. I turned around, I sold it. It actually helped out a lot at the time.
Sure.
But like, there's part of me that's like, I should have held on to that. But at the same time, I've never been a completionist.
Right.
And like one of my good buddies, Ringer, got in Hotspot, Sandstorm, the giraffe. Why can't I remember his name?
Half Court.
Half Court, yeah. And a bunch of those end of the line figures, and he's like, And I was just like, no. A, don't have the money for him right now. But B, like I don't really like I don't have a place for them in my collection because I have no attachment to them.
Sure.
And they're really friggin' neat, but it's one of those weird things.
Were Sandstorm and were those hard to find characters? I don't know. I mean,
they were towards the end of the line, so they were, well, not technically harder to find. They're still some of the higher dollar figures, just because there weren't as many of them out there, because they didn't really have second and third and fourth and fifth releases. Sure. Like they were just kind of like, done. Here's your camel with a giant.
And at that point, and correct me if I'm wrong, but even though they're in the stores, then there's probably just as many first run half courts as there are, Ray Fillets. But people just weren't buying the figures at the time.
Yeah, it was end of the line. I mean, it's like any it's like the vintage Star Wars stuff. Like the harder ones to find are the ones towards the end where not a lot of people were into them or grabbing them.
Was this like wasn't there like an in between time where they were releasing stuff that wasn't as close to mutiny? It was like more.
You were getting all the variants of the turtles. You were getting the military turtles. You were getting Star Trek turtles, Universal Monster turtles. Like you weren't really getting the core four. Like that was the thing is I remember when the Toon Turtles came out, and like I lost my damn mind because I was like, they're based on the cartoon.
Yeah, same feeling, absolutely. And that's a good point. They didn't really re-release the. If you wanted a bear Raphael that looked like Raphael and didn't have a Boy Scout uniform on, and you just wanted a regular looking Raphael, then it was difficult to get. Because they weren't releasing those. I never thought about that, but that's a good point.
And thankfully, towards like the very end of the line, they started releasing like the KB exclusive ones on the purple cards and stuff like that, where all of a sudden you could get those 4 turtles again on like early anniversaries and stuff like that.
That's smart.
With a coin that came with it, right?
Yep. Yeah. But it was the thing of like, to that point, if you wanted a Mikey or a Donnie or a Raph or Leo, it'd be like, well, I guess I'm going to get Pro Wrestling Mikey, or I'm going to get, Desert Storm Leonardo. Like it was that thing of just like, it was mind blowing to think about that, because I was very thankful that I had my original 4, because I remember my friends being like, oh, I like turtles. I have this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. And like outside of like birthdays and stuff, I didn't get the figures or whatnot. Like every once in a blue moon, it was like something very special. But it was that thing of like so many of my buddies had the like crazy weird like mishmash turtles where it's like, okay, so you have like Raph as Scotty, You have baseball. You have baseball Raphael. You have Spy Donnie, and Leonardo as a mariachi. And it's like, but no Mikey. It's like, okay, well, you have 4 turtles. Cool. Like, go crazy.
Good enough, right?
Oh, Dude Retro going after it, man.
Turtles.
Yeah.
That was the one I mentioned to you too.
Yep.
That's another one of mine.
I've been that close a couple times when I found one, but I always find them on card. And it's like, I don't want to spend $250 on a figure that I'm going to put on a shelf and go, look at it.
But I wonder if Super 7 will have access to that if they could do because it's off the figures. I realize it's Playmates figures, but it's also this is and that's the import kind of stuff.
Oh, I remember only 1 or 2 of them, and the wacky action ones being the spitters, but
the beach ones were all spitters too.
I think it was Raph or Leo, and it had the hole in the teeth, and it would go and it'd spit, like you could press a button or something.
Oh, okay, maybe.
I don't remember what it was. Also, people talking and giving some love to the Mini Mutants. I agree wholeheartedly. That was a fantastic line. I have a bunch of the 2012s, and I actually have the core 4 turtles with the turtle van and the news channel bike, the news bike. But one thing is that new Hot Wheels, the new Hot Wheels party wagon that came out with the openable door. The Mini Mutants fit on it.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. Hold up.
Yeah, please. I've been looking for a turtle van. I don't think I have one yet. The Hot Wheels version. Do you collect new stuff, Geeky?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess you do NECA, you do Super 7, but the little Hot Wheels stuff, you'll collect that stuff.
If I run into it, I mean, that's not stuff that I if I'm doing online, I'm not necessarily seeking it out, but if I see it in the store,
I can't pass it
up.
If
I saw this turtle land that Dave's holding up here, 100% I would be buying it.
Yeah, look at that. That's perfect.
This is the standard Hot Wheels, and this is a Micro Mutant on there.
That's crazy.
That's fun.
I have the
see this is the thing. When I was younger, I couldn't get those because I would lose them immediately. But I have been getting the Mega Constructs.
Yeah.
So any of those that are coming out, I'm picking those up too. Because now I know I'm not going to lose them the way that I would. It would just it would get sucked up into a vacuum immediately if I.
Oh damn! Varian got the Turtle Mobile from a yard sale. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Repainting the NECA Donatello, the Dark Turtle. That's going to be super cool.
Nice. I was going to say to you too, because you were bringing up the wrestler Mikey. Did you ever custom that into the intergalactic wrestling?
No, the funny thing was, I didn't start customizing till I was probably 8, 9 years old, something like that. And by that point, I had my turtles, but I had a limited amount of them. I couldn't go and grab them. Garage sales, they weren't really out there yet. You know what I mean? And so I had Pro Wrestling Mikey, but he just was Pro Wrestling Mikey. I'd be curious if/when Super 7 releases some of the later in the line figures, how the sales compare to some current waves. I think they're gonna intersperse them like they're doing with the Ray Fillet and Sewer Samurai Leo and stuff. I think we're gonna get a lot of those kind of mishmash waves.
I think another one that I've kind of
did either of you have the pizza bowling?
I don't know. Oh, where was the turtles as pins, right?
Yeah.
I think I had cousins who had it, and we used to play it at their house, but I didn't.
Oh, boom! Popping pins bowling in box.
Nice.
Look at you.
I got that in the last 6 months. I paid $10 at a thrift store for it.
That's beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, wow. I couldn't pass it up just based on I didn't care what was inside. I just liked the box art of it.
Oh, the box art's where it's at.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, Geeky, I had a question. Dave and I were arguing over this. It was a couple weeks ago. NECA they officially announced the movie 2 set of Orokosaki and what's the name?
Yoshi?
Yeah, Samato Yoshi.
Mm-hmm.
Dave is very concerned that he's not going to be able to find these in Walmart because they're another Walmart exclusive.
Well, there's also no Walmarts up here.
Okay, that's fair. I, on the other hand, think that these sets are going to sit, and they're not going to fly off the shelves the same way that the movie Turtles did, that the Core 4 Turtles did, and that the Super Shredder even with the Super Shredder, I don't think those flew as fast as the Turtles did. I don't think this is going to go. I don't think there's a ton of people out there who just looking at the package are going to know what this is.
Sure. I mean, they may not. It's this could. I think it would depend on what the saturation
Sure.
rate is of it being in the stores, and location wise too. Towards who knows the characters. That is a worry of mine with Walmart, that I wouldn't be able to get it either. But I could also see it sitting on the shelf. I for the sake of like my own love for it, I'm like, I hope that's not the case. Even though I know that if it stays on the shelf, then I'll be able to pick it up.
Sure.
But
But at the same time, I'd rather have to pay $80 on eBay if I know that they're going to sell out, and if they sell out, that means they're probably going to make another set.
I think there's the fans. I think the big hardcore fans want the human components.
Yes, agreed.
But I don't know that that's everybody who's just seeing them. I think some people may not recognize it at first glance, like you said. It's not as recognized. It's not.
I agree with you. You put any mutants in this from the movie in stores, they're going to sell out immediately. Whether it's Turtles, whether it's Toka and Razor, no matter what it is, they're going to sell out immediately. Even the Splinter set was selling out pretty quickly.
I mean, even a transforming head may have sold it. Not to say this isn't going to fly off the shelves, anyways. It might. But I'm saying,
agreed. I just think two random dudes in a box that has the Ninja Turtle logo in the bottom corner is going to sit. It's more likely to sit than it is to fly.
It might.
I have a feeling though, especially with like Shang-Chi coming out and some of that coming, some people are going to look at it and go, "Karate guys," like and grab it anyways. Sure. It's going to be a pricey box, but at the same point, if people are out looking for that genre of figure, then, if they're looking for martial artists, a really easy get there. And much like Stan, I too never found Turtles at any of my Walmarts. Also, I'm pretty sure, Mr. Ryan Clark, the Donatello as Beetlejuice one was a custom. It's like you could pop off Donatello's head and it had a smaller head underneath. I think that was one of those that came out as like a custom early on, like in the early days of the internet, if I remember correctly.
This is like a small head Donatello.
Like, so you can like pop off his, if I'm thinking of the same one, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I know you guys will. Basically it looked like Beetlejuice, but it was Donatello's head. And, so it was a turtle. I think it ended up being made by the same dude that did like the slasher series, where I think it was like Leo as Leatherface and Raph as Freddy Krueger and stuff like that. And it came out as it was put together and like put in, I think it was one of those why can't I think of the name of the forum? AFI actually, Insider.
Technodrome. There's Technodrome.
No, this was before that even. Okay. Like early custom forums, and it was up there, and it was like an entry into like a custom contest. So they made it look like traditional marketing and everything. So it was super, super cool. I think that's what I'm thinking of. I'm guessing, Mr. Geeky, this might be your little geeky.
What would make you think that?
There was an early.
Are you saying other people can't think that of me?
Yeah. No.
Well, that's.
There you go, Mitch Falcon.
Who's to say?
No, but it's those things of like, I will be super curious to see where they can go from busted. I'm just kidding. Welcome in the chat. Wait, what? Mr. Link, I know you've mentioned that before, and that's a hella flex. That's amazing.
Yeah, get us a picture of that. That's nuts.
Please. There we go. Hi, Dad.
Hey, little geeky.
Hey, nothing wrong with it. I'm glad that he's along for the ride.
Oh yeah, it means he's watching. Hey, dude.
But so the funny thing is, this kind of gets back to what we were talking about before. I put together a slideshow, if you will, of the kind of turtle news of what we haven't done, and this is definitely one that we haven't talked about, but I am very excited about.
Absolutely.
Is you got Chrome Dome. Also, I love this computer. I'm on a bender of vintage computers right now because I just got that Jurassic Park Amber Collection Sam Jackson, and
this is perfect. Maybe not perfect, but it's. Oh, does he come with the computer too?
He comes with a computer.
Oh, I thought you needed to buy an extra one of these just for the computer.
No. I actually I did a little tweak to that, and now that's my movie universe Baxter Stockman.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I like it. A super powered PowerPoint, if you will. Yes, but Chrome Dome looking mighty. He's like 10 inches tall, which is insane. I'm stoked
awesome.
for this figure.
I mean,
how big that is. Look at how big that is.
I saw this, and I was when I saw it in scale. That's when I just like lost it.
That picture right there really does it. Him standing next to Shredder, and
I know Shredder's back a little bit, so it's a little forced perspective, but holy crap! Also, I want them to release this diorama. So
somebody was. I think John in the chat was talking about that earlier. They are known for this backdrop. Yep. I have to think that they have some sort of plans for some sort of tech. I'm not expecting a giant Technodrome, but something that has that we can use as a Technodrome back piece.
Yeah, I gotta imagine it's going to be coming. Oh, fun fact: he's the biggest Neca TMNT fig, which makes it bigger than Krang. Because it
definitely looks bigger.
Well,
yeah,
that's the thing is in scale with the Night of the Rogues, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I think I'm most excited for. Is like
Well, because he popped up a couple times and he was different sizes, but I like that they went with a big old chonky Chrome Dome.
Shelf space is going to be interesting on this guy. I don't know how many each store is going to get, just because of how big the packaging on this guy has to be.
Mitch Falcon, drop the link below.
This is awesome.
Who needs extra advertising? You got
your hype kid in there.
Hustling, love that.
Woo! All right, you're gonna have extra ice cream tonight, kiddo.
There you go. Do we have any hope that Super7 will release a Crank? They gotta. I imagine that's gonna be along the lines of Monstar from the Silverhawks line. Is my guess. But
hopefully they just do it like, I don't want to say a 2-pack, but they do the Krang body full sized, full scale. But then also include the walker, the high chair thing. The you know what I'm talking about? The single release figure accessory piece. Include that in there and then make it the high Monstar price.
Oh yeah.
Or I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they couldn't do it because they didn't come with the original, but like having the wings too might be.
I'm putting it out there. If it included the normal amount of Super 7 accessories with that big a figure, it would be worth it. That would be insane because you know that they would pack it to the gills and it would be a giant figure. Moving on from Chrome Dome, we have our 2-pack.
Hottest selling item of 2021.
You're damn right.
Dude, I'm really excited for these. I will also be super excited for when they
Kung Fu Rats.
I do love this set. I can't wait to get this. I don't know how I'm going to display it yet as far as where it's going to go because my display doesn't really facilitate a flashback, if you will. I'm going to have to figure that out, but that is something I'm definitely willing to overlook to get this thing in my hands.
I think legit I'm going to put it on the interior of my diorama, and I'm going to light it in there so it's something you can see through
it'll look like a flashback. That's cool.
Yeah. There's the in package. Again, like I'm hella stoked. Again, the funny thing is like the accessories alone, even if you're not a Turtles guy, or girl or anything
Sure.
in between.
They're cool.
You have really cool human figures that you can do stuff with now.
This thing with especially with the 4 turtles in the dead center on the bottom, this looks like a fig swap.
It does. It does. I'm still excited for it. Ooh, a custom Tang Shin to go with. That would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the funny thing was someone was talking about this earlier and was like, I'm going to get a Katie from the Shang-Chi line, and I'm going to use it. Oh, hi, Stormy. Yeah, Stormy, come here. Hey, come here. It's okay. People are launching off fireworks, so here, Stormy.
Yeah. I'm scared.
I'm hearing that over here too.
There we go.
I do.
Hey, buddy.
Okay, go hide. You're okay. She gets nervous. Moving on, we have these lovely curiosities. Who again, if they come out and they're readily available, I'm all for it. Like, but it being a Walmart exclusive, like this line as it is, I just saw the first figure from it in my area, and it was a Buffy, and I think that's wave 3.
Oh wow!
So
done in the same style.
Yep. So they're all 5. I think they're all 5-inch scale. So they have like Napoleon Dynamite, Buffy. Like they're doing Big Trouble in Little China. They're doing like figures from across the board. AC/DC. I believe they did a Gene Simmons. Like they're just throwing everything out in this line, but they're all 5 inches. Like, so no scaling. They're all 5 inches, no matter what.
Well, I mean, that's I don't know. It's fun that they're affordable, but it's at the same time I'm one of those where I'm like, I would like it in the proper scale, like a Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
I'm that said, I'm getting that Beetlejuice if I can find that Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I agree. The most excited thing is that from this whole podcast has been
they're doing Lydia as well.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You need Lydia.
All right.
That's perfect.
Mitch Falcon dropping that sweet link in the comments. Thank you very much.
Nice. Thank you.
My girlfriend asked, could you please talk about Sailor Moon? It's a fantastic series, and we don't have any fancy pictures in the slideshow. I apologize, but yeah, it's awesome. And finally, we have something. Dan and I talked about this briefly. I threw these in there because I just wanted to show them off. That there we go. There's the Playmates releases, which look very much in line with these. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
But finally,
are the Playmates scale wise though? Is that gonna it's not gonna be in the classics?
They're like 7-inch scale. Like they're re-releases of the classics.
Right. Yeah. So it's just
they're big.
Yeah. I have all those. I care more about the Shredder and the Triceraton that they're teasing at this point.
If they come out. I love me Sailor Moon, especially the Starlight. And then finally, Neca actually commented on this. This was proven to be a custom, but how amazing would this set be? Release them in their original plastic colors, reuse a little bit of that vintagey box art, and just give us a 4-pack of the Turtles.
Right.
You can use the same tooling, new deco. I gotta say that I would be on this like Donkey Kong. Like,
did you ever think that this was real when you saw
it? I did actually, because I saw it pop up first on, I believe it was the Technodrome forums, and it was just someone that said, "Anybody have any idea about this?
What is?"
And I was like, "That's a hell of a mock-up." The thing that got me is the design of the box, is the way that the actual full graphic looked, because it looked very mocked up, because they're not big into like the really, really intricate die cuts like Donnie there.
Okay. Yeah.
As a graphic designer and like someone who's designed packaging for toys and stuff in the past, I was going, this is cool, but it seems out of their realm. Like Mikey, for instance, would have been bumped over about a 1/4 inch, where you wouldn't have that additional die cut right there
on the upper right. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but again, like that did not stop me from going, holy shit!
A great idea, custom or not? Yeah,
dibs. Like it's totally like, again, like these guys. That paint deco on the NECA figs.
Love it.
I'm down.
I honestly think, can you put that picture back up? I honestly think if they didn't include the Rocksteady in the background, that we've already gotten that Rocksteady accessory, right?
Right.
Yep.
To me, that's the tip off. Like you're reusing old the old accessories from the other sets to make this look legitimate. Is there other things other than like I don't know, the die cut stuff that wouldn't have stuck out to me. Now
it's stuff like you have Raph's pizza slice with the hole in it. You have Donnie's staff, but the staff isn't painted.
That's true. Okay.
Like there's a lot of these that are reused. But the other thing,
my heart doesn't let me see these details. My heart is just like, please let this be real. Please let this be real.
Well, and the fact that it comes with 2 pizzas, it comes with like it.
It almost has too much. Yeah.
I feel bad saying it, but it was legit me going, "This is too good to be true."
There you go. Right.
Like they have so much that they're throwing in there, and not to say that NECA doesn't give us amazing stuff and like bountiful accessories. I have a fucking jug over there that's filled with bits and bobs from figures. But this was one that I like when I saw it, I was like, oh, and then immediately was like, like you got me.
Yeah, I mean, that was a tip off for me too. I looked. I don't know if you could see me like scooting forward in my chair here. I was like looking closely. And I was like, that Rocksteady behind. That was the. I was like, I know I've seen that before. It's well done. I mean, and yeah, I would 100%. I would buy that very quickly if that was a real thing.
Hell yeah.
But
Great Shot put something good out there too. Batman v TMNT had 2 pizza slices and a ton of accessories. These are just the hands from those 4 turtles. I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, San Diego Comic-Con, I think there's something else planned. I don't know. We're not there in the conversation yet. Maybe we are.
We're gonna get there next. I do want to mention Stan's comment. I want to see what Hasbro is going to do, because Hasbro is giving us Mighty Morphin Power Ranger Turtle crossover figures coming out soon, and this is big because you have the Lightning collection. This is going to be their first shot at Turtles, and I'm a big Marvel Legends fan. And so seeing the possibilities and seeing the Lightning collection, seeing those figures and seeing what articulation and love go into those, I'm super curious. So I just wanted to point that out. Stan is everybody's throwing a bunch of fantastic questions and whatnot in the comments.
Have you seen any? I know there was like teaser images, but there isn't anything like
there were teaser images based off the concept art,
right?
From the comics, and outside of that, nothing. So I'm guessing with Comic-Con right around the corner, or virtual Comic-Con coming up, we're going to see those. But that segues into our next point. We got 8 minutes left. We can stay on as long as we want because we're cool like that. But until we go into overtime, don't worry, you guys. You're going to get double your normal pay. But San Diego Comic-Con exclusives have been something of legend these last couple years. They've put out some astonishing things, some not easy to get, easier to get, but they've also put out some nightmare of things to get, like the Mighty, or coming out of their Shells tour pack. I was going to call them the Mighty Mutagen tour, or whatever it was called. The Singing Turtles. I see your Spitting Turtles. I go for the Singing Turtles. But what do you guys think that'll be this year? Usually we get a 4-pack.
Yeah.
And sometimes a single release. So like, we might get, a single or like a double or like a 2-pack, I guess, since that's kind of NECA's vibe of here's a 2-pack, here's a 4-pack. Like how about this? We'll do this. What is most probable? And then what is your dream pick?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the
one, Speeky Geeky.
No. Well, okay, but here's the thing.
4-pack, 1 2-pack. How about that?
Here's the caveat to that. Because there's the tease with the Channel 6 thing that came out not that long ago. Okay. The question is that going to tie into the San Diego Comic-Con? If it does, then I have a thought on that. If it's not its own like 2-pack kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
If not, then I have a feeling I have a feeling of what it theoretically might be. So can I? Okay, if the can I do the caveat?
You get your speculative one.
Okay.
Of each, and then you get your pick.
All right. So my speculative one is okay, it's not connected to the Channel 6 one, right?
Yeah,
That is, I think it's theoretically the neutrinos, Dask, Zach, Kawa, in the hot rod, along with King Zenter and potentially a smaller Princess Tribble. I think
swinging for the fences. That'd be huge.
That would be enormous. But the reason I think that might be the case is because they'd be smaller scale figures. And and when we saw Kerma released with Mondo, it was like as an oversized, right? In that same idea, really the bigger price point there might be that you're getting the hot rod, and they're also going to be incredibly articulated, obviously, but they're all smaller in stature. So it might be easier to be a sell as a exclusive than if they were to try to put two small figures as a 2-pack.
They could be more slug figures, like kind of like Kerma isn't going to have a ton of articulation. Also, welcome Panther 10, welcome back. But the idea of them being smaller figures is definitely a solid point. You can get more bang for your buck.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's the speculative. The other one tied into the Channel 6 piece, I think if that was the case where, they acknowledged that whatever it's going to be is going to be a 4-pack. So if that was where they put that, I think it would be Night of the Fly, Attack of the Fly. I can't remember the name of the episode. It was where they all turn into different bugs, right? However, with the caveat to that being that I think it would be Cat Mutant April, right? Yeah. So it would be you'd have Burn in there, and you'd be able to swap in that he's the Fly Burn, and you'd have Spider Vernon, and you'd have Moth Irma, because Irma we already know is coming. Irma we got the tease, so that would be a fun set. I could also see it being like that they don't include another Vernon, and that they put in a camera person, because there were other people that were part of the set of. That would make sense for an exclusive, because you could have the background diorama of Channel 6 as part of that too.
Gail Benning brings up a good point. It was mentioned at one point that it would be the biggest yet, but I don't know if that was talking about quantity or the biggest as far as most detail. There's so many ways you can spin that.
Yeah. Well, and the accessories they were saying there's going to be small and big accessories with it too. So
Panther 10 in the chat actually has my pick. The Secret of the Ooze turtle set with a subway car layer diorama, because you could do the 4 turtles and a splinter, and it would be essentially new heads on the old bodies, a new head on Splinter, and then you just make the pack a really nice pack of the subway. It would be an easy out, which I hate to say, but I could see them doing, because it's the cheapest route because of the tooling involved with it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they've gone big. Like the coming out of their shells tour turtles, like there's outside, I think hands. I think everything is new tool for it. So
I believe that's right. Yeah.
Night, Ryan Clark. Have a good one, man. Catch you next time.
I guess a question I'd have too, and I'm not. We don't no answer on this because I want to hear the other thoughts on this. But just as the other reveals, in addition to not what the exclusive is, but what might be revealed figure wise for Comic-Con. Typically, there's a handful of those as well around that time period. So all right, so okay. You go.
Let me get my guesses here. So I do have a hard time believing that it's going to be another turtle set, only because
Sam's teasing all of us right now.
Yes, please.
Ooh.
I'm not God.
That was not my guess, but that's a good one. Cowlick specifically.
Mm-hmm.
They just released the Disguise set.
Yep.
Right. If they wanted to do a 4-pack of turtles that was special, and make it be something that wasn't going to appeal to the mass market and might be a harder sell, why not spread that out? Why not release the regular turtles at retail? Again, just better articulated like the Disguise turtles are, and then save the disguises for Comic-Con. Instead, they packed it all together.
Yep.
Right? I don't think they had to do that. I don't think anybody was buying the set specifically for the trench coats. So because of that, I don't think that the Comic-Con exclusive is going to be Turtles at all. I don't have a decent guess what it could be. My hope is that it would be the Turtle Van. I would love. I mean, that would be big. That'd be something that you couldn't do theoretically. You couldn't do shelf space on because it would be so big, and it would have to be some sort of online thing. I'm hoping for a Turtle Van. I don't have room for a Turtle Van, and honestly, the more I think about it, I kind of hope it's not a Turtle Van. But if it is a Turtle Van, I couldn't resist it.
Dude, I legit I started working on a custom like cartoon accurate turtle van, and I was like, this is gonna be awesome. And I started work on it, and I stopped, like literally about a week ago, and I was like, I'm putting a lot of time into this. They've already said they have it ready to go. Like, they've teased that this is going to be a big exclusive, and I'm just like, God damn it. a Super 7 party wagon would be nuts as well. I agree, but price point wise,
any 2-scale party wagon is going to be insane. It's going to be up there with the Thunder Tank.
Oh, I mean, that's the thing is either way you go with it, it's going to be that would be an absolutely massive exclusive, and it would be awesome. Do not get me wrong. I would be on that thing like a fat kid on a cupcake. But you know, I kind of agree though. Like I'd be really, really hopeful that they go kind of off card. You know, like they go for something bonkers.
That'd be great.
You know, like
Out of the Shells tour was bonkers. It was a crazy call,
dude. That was one of those that legit. My buddy was just like, "Hey, they said that they're going to do a Turtles exclusive again. What do you think it's going to be?" They said it's going to be something no one would ever expect. And I said, "Dude, if it's fucking coming out of their shells, I would pardon the phraseology and sorry, mini geeky." If you're in the chat, I would cream my jeans because I loved that so much as a little kid, and I never thought in a million years that we would get legit coming out of their shells tours figures. And later that day, they unveiled it, and I got a call from my friend. He said, "Hey, man, are you driving?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Can you pull over?" And I'm like, "Oh, my God." Like, what happened? Like, I'm thinking something bad happened.
Yeah, who's injured?
And I pulled off at a gas station. He's like, "Check your phone." And I checked my phone. He shot me all the images. I was like, "Ah!" Like I freaked out.
That was a great day.
Oh, damn. Another idea. Krang's android body in the giant form. That'd be insane. And Gail, yes, I have them and I customized them, actually. I made proper decals for the back of the coming out of their shells tour. Said is Super 7 doing another Comic-Con? I'm sure they will, but they've been doing like reaction figures and stuff for the exclusives. But they did do the Bug Zapper Baxter, so it could be a redeco.
Yeah.
And I also wanted that set. Never saw it at Target. I was very lucky that one of my friends found it.
Did they do a glow in the dark Muckman yet? Is that
Muckman? No, they're doing a glow in the dark mutagen man. That's coming out.
Oh, that'd be fun
for Super 7.
That'd be fun. I mean,
yeah.
Ooh. Very nice.
So, because I'm that guy. Another easy would be a chromed out Chrome Dome. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Entertainment Earth had the glow in the dark mutagen man. That's right.
Thanks.
But redecos are definitely something that they could just go hog with. And oh yeah, Mitch Falcon, thank you.
Of course,
glow in the dark mutagen man still up for order. But I'm gonna put it this way: we're 3 minutes over right now. I'm giving us 10 more minutes. How about that?
Yeah, all right.
Wrap it. I just don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. The guys and gals in the chat have been awesome. I just don't want to overstay our welcome.
Oh, dude. I mean, I think I would go on for as long as humanly possible.
Oh, dude. Dan and I talked about this. We could go all night.
Absolutely.
But we all have families.
We could get into one character alone and talk for hours on
it. It'll be all 4 frogs. You shut your mouth, Stan.
But I mean, who do we think are going to be the other reveals for beside, you know, in terms of not that are going to be the exclusives, but are going to be shown?
I think we'll get Irma.
Yeah.
I think Irma for sure will get revealed. I was kind of racking my brain about who popped up. I think they gotta go Usagi. I think Usagi will see a reveal in both NECA and Super7 at San Diego because it's an anniversary. The Netflix show is coming out. It's the perfect time for them just to go because all of a sudden, Stan's sweet samurai rabbit is up there for all.
I agree that it should be. I just don't know if because of the Netflix, if it's tied up in licensing, where they're not able to do it now.
I don't know.
But I want that answer to be correct.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones I'm like, oh, we need that soon.
Stan in the chat. Secret of the Ooze Turtles, I think, are definitely up there. Kino. I think we'll see a Kino at San Diego. And honestly, you know what? I didn't even think about it. That could be a really easy San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, is Kino with his scooter.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. They made a big deal about Danny. They might make a big deal about Kino.
Brian Flynn said they can't because of the show yet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's but that doesn't mean that they're not trying to have it. Doesn't mean there's not one that's created. They just can't put it out there yet. Maybe.
Yeah. Wingnut or Screw Loose would be also pretty cool.
Yes. Tempestra, I feel like is going to be another one that's makes sense.
One that I want that I don't think they'll do this year is, we've talked about this before. What do we have? What did that say?
I know Turtle Soup San Diego Comic-Con pack would be a way to get an Usagi. Yeah.
There you go. But this one I don't think they'll do because it would overshadow the current releases. But a Page Turco.
April.
Yeah, but I think it would overshadow the. Yeah, I think that would be next year.
Yeah,
if not after that. But I don't think they can do it this year.
Is it weird that I have a strange suspicion that we're gonna get an April and Casey 2-pack with the unmasked head? But I think that could be a con exclusive as the 2-pack because they already have the tooling. It would be a way to release it early to get into people's hands, and it could be one of those things of for a movie 2-pack. It would be one that's not necessary because you have a Casey, you have an April that's already available to the public. This would be just variants on them.
Can you imagine how angry people would be if that 2-pack included the yellow raincoat?
The yellow trench coat, yeah. Ooh, Rex 1, Mac, and Fugitoid. Just a Robots 3-pack? I like that.
Well, it'd be... I mean, but Fugitoid can't be for Fred Wolf, though. Would it be...
I see that. I think Fugitoid would be Super 7. As far as them showing off one, I'm guessing. Mitch Falcon is all for the robots.
Yeah, I mean that would be a dream to see those. But I mean, that's the thing with Fugitoid. I wonder if that is more of a loophole character because Fugitoid was around before, with Mirage and was so they could theoretically do that character.
Oh yeah. NECA Vanilla Ice or TMNT. Dude, I'd be all for it. Burn and Irma 2-pack. That would piss people off, Dave. Oh, I'm well aware. That's never stopped him before. I'm just putting it out there. 10 of 10, Professor Perry and Page Turco April would be an amazing 2-pack. I'll put it out there though too. An easy 2-pack that would blow people's minds would be a Secret of the Ooze Shredder from the beginning in the purple onesie with the saw blade helmet with Tatsu. Because
it would blow people's mind because he's off the table as far as what they've said.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Could be a feint.
From what they've said, it's that thing of what would blow people away though. The figure that they've said, no,
it's impossible. Yeah,
can't get it. It's impossible. You know what I mean? It's that thing of you want a 1-2 punch. You're basically reusing a tool for Shredder with the new helmet that they've already teased that helmet with the saw.
It is a risky move though, saying that something is impossible and then delivering it. Let's say it wouldn't be the exact same thing, but let's say that custom 4-pack that we talked about a half hour ago. Let's say that's really the Comic-Con exclusive that they said was a fake, I think people would be let down if that was the release, because they got their hopes up. Then you're telling them it's fake. Okay, maybe I don't need it. And now, okay, it is real. Now you get their hopes back up again. I don't think people like to be played with like that.
At the same time, though, like, could you imagine the outpouring of people buying it, though?
Sure, absolutely.
Because Tatsu has been brought up time and time and time.
Tatsu, absolutely. Yeah, especially because they haven't gone to the lengths of that custom that was shown.
Yeah,
I totally agree. The Tatsu, I don't think, is the same story.
Yeah, but and Shredder, they've already teased the helmet.
Yep.
So it's like, okay. At the same time, they could do something like the 4 turtles and the purple Shredder. Like they could do stuff like that super easy. It's the thing of like, it's trying to think of the tooling, and the thing is now with the Orokusaki and Hamato Yoshi 2-pack, we also have a lot of the tooling for Tatsu.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? It's reusing a lot of puzzle pieces to create something. Just thinking of what would be the weirdest 2-pack. Belly Bomb and the Shredder Krang hybrid from the Arctic.
Oh,
Thank you for
yes.
that Nightmare Fuel, Sam. Appreciate that.
I want it. I want that Nightmare Fuel. I want that on my shelf now.
Dude, I'm all for it. I mean, the cool thing is, like, this is such a golden age of toys, and we're like, as turtle fans, as shell heads, we have shit so good right now. Again, if there was a mass retail line out there like the 2012 turtles were, like if that was the other like thing out there right now, perfect. Like happy days,
Well, Matt, even though it was so saturated, like there was so much out there with the 2012. There's still so many characters I felt like I didn't get, and I really wanted, from that line. That was just
my biggest qualm with that line is the fact of the scaling, and I'm working on custom. Some people have seen it, but it's a turtle custom, so I can show it off here. As I'm making a scaled dog pound.
Yeah.
So chonky boy. There's a lot more sculpting that still needs to be done. I'm also working on a scaled up T-Pod Baxter. This looks really weird right now, but there's a lot more work to be done. I'm still in the very early stages, but eventually that'll fit in there, and then I'll redo the arms. It'll be nuts once it's done. So
very cool.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see that progress. That's a fun one.
There is so much dremeling that needs to happen. I legit need like 2 new cutting discs to really get into that. But I think we can wrap it there, fellas. Mitch Falcon, if you are listening, my lovely AI homeboy, if you can toss our socials in the chat. First off, I want to thank both of you guys for coming on and putting up with my idiocy and love of all things turtles. There we go, Mitch Falcon, dropping like it's hot.
It's not putting up with anything, man. This is
a pleasure. I love doing this.
Always, very much so.
But at the same, again, I'm just very grateful for both of you. So this is your guys' time to plug. We're gonna start with our very special guest. I'm sorry, Dan. I love you.
Take your time, absolutely.
But,
take your time.
Speeky Geeky, Mr. Geeky. Let people know what's up. Let people know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, this is, first of all, thanks for having me on. This was great. This is a blast, and it was a ton of fun getting to talk turtles for as long as we got to. Like this is lifeblood, right? Mutagen lifeblood. Yeah, I mean, said I'm Mr. Geeky. I have a channel called Speeky Geeky, and we do a lot of fun stuff over there. A lot of turtle-facing themed, deep diving, kind of like imaginative projects over there. You're into turtles, right up your alley, or right down your sewer, as it were. And we have a lot of other fun.
That sounds filthy. Don't be going down my sewer. Sorry.
Yeah, we got like a lot of. Hey, my son is. Hey, I'm gonna come up in a minute. Don't worry, I'll be up there in a minute.
You'll get your ice cream.
Well, a lot of voiceover stuff. A lot of like imaginative. Like we just did one where it was like reimagining fabulous secret powers of the old He-Man. Careful. Where
you're not wrong there, Mitch Falcon. Drain pipe would have sounded worse.
Lots of fun, lots of stuff. My son has got his screen over here. You gotta go upstairs with that, bud. Lots of fandom facing stuff. It's reviews, news, and geeky news and interviews. So,
heck yeah.
Well, so that's it in a nutshell.
Thanks for coming on, man. And all of Mr. Geeky's links are in the chat on the side. Dan, where can they find you? What you got going on?
Just like our dear friend Mitch Falcon told us. I don't know what's going on over there. Mitch Falcon was nice enough to put our socials in the chat. I'm at Bittermarks on Twitter and Instagram. You can listen to our podcast on bittermarks.com or bittermarks.lisp. I'm not our media guy. I don't even know what that website is, but it leads to our podcast. It's a wrestling podcast. You can hear me and a couple other guys complain about wrestling. We don't like super kicks. We don't like super kicks. We don't like super kicks. We don't like the any sort of the leg slapping, any sort of the new age wrestling. It's a lot of complaining about that stuff, but more so, that's every wrestling podcast. It's more so a wrestling podcast where we talk about 80s wrestling, 90s wrestling, stuff that we grew up loving wrestling. And in addition to that, we play wrestling games. We have guests on. We just re-released one of our episodes where we had Jerry Lynn on. You can check that out at bittermarks.com. And like I said, hit us up on all of our Facebooks, or not Facebooks, all of our socials on Instagram and Twitter, and we are on Facebook as well. And then more importantly, just thank you for dealing with the first 15 minutes of the show. I know it was a chaotic mess, but it did mean the world to Connor. I'm sure he's going to watch all 2 hours and 20 minutes of this tomorrow on YouTube, and he's going to have a blast seeing himself up on his big screen. So thank you, guys.
No worries. And as always, I'm Dave Wonder, a.k.a. Diamond Dave, a.k.a. Dave Wheeler. You can call me whatever the hell you want. You can find me at all of these lovely links below. I'll be back Monday on the Foosh for Monday Foosh Live. Catch all my adventures on Instagram at the Dave Wheeler. That's where that joke came from. On Twitter at Dave Wheeler. You can find me here once a month with Dan having a lovely Turtle Talk. Any other time, Tuesdays, Tiny Ming Tuesdays, Wednesdays, we got Toys with the Boys, where we grip and rip cardboard all night long and talk toys with some of the boys. It's a good old time. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for coming on and hanging out and being awesome. Mitch Falcon, thoughts on super kicks? Oh, bitter marks. I get it. Sorry.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, thank you, everybody in the chat. Bean, Mitch, Gail, Mr. Link, Sam, Ryan Clark, I know he's gone already, Crayshot, Stan, John Delana, just everybody, Turbo, just everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Throw a like, throw a subscribe, throw a comment, throw a follow to all of us on here. We're all nerds. We have a lot of fun with toys and toy talk and all that fun stuff. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. I love you, you stupid old shell heads. Good night, everybody. I'm sorry, I cut both of you off.
I was saying the most profound thing.
I knew.